Okay, the party can start now that Commissioner Kilgore is here. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being with us this evening. We'll go ahead and convene this evening's Planning Commission meeting. I believe we have everyone except for Commissioner Mangum this evening present. We'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked Commissioner Mann to lead us. All right, thank you, Commissioner Mann. Also want to thank the rest of the commissioners for being present this evening. And again, we'll excuse Commissioner Mangum. Now is the time for public input. This is time that's been aside for any person to express ideas, concerns, comments, questions, or issues that are not listed as a public hearing item on the agenda. We ask that these comments be limited to 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Yes, so we do have two that were sent via email. I'll do it with the item. Never mind, then we'll do those with the item. We're good.
Yeah, those I think will come up on our agenda a little bit later. Okay, are you a member of the public, sir, wishing to make a comment? He's for the first item. Oh, you're for the first item, okay. No, it's great. You're just jumping, I like it. You're just keeping us focused, moving us along. Seeing no other members of the public present, we will go ahead and close public input at this time and move to public hearing item number 1. This is the Lake Mountains Estate Plat J3 Internal Accessory Dwelling Unit map amendment located approximately at the southwest corner of Lake Mountain Subdivision. Sean Murdoch as the applicant.
Okay, thank you. So yes, so this IADU map amendment is located on the southeast corner of the Lake Mountain Estate Subdivision to the very south of the city. And there are 55 lots in Lake Mountain Estates J3. And it would be the only plat that, if it would get approved, would be go from prohibited to approved IADUs. It'd be the first one in this subdivision, and it meets all of the code and all of the requirements for our planning review. And yeah, that's all that I have.
Okay, thank you for the presentation this evening and for the items in the staff in the packet for the commission. Are you the applicant, sir? Would you like to add anything to the presentation? No. Okay, thank you for being present this evening. We'll turn it over now to members, or this is a matter of public hearing, so we'll open that up for any public comment. Seeing none, we'll close public comment at this time and open this up to members of the commission for questions.
Actually, so sorry, I actually do have just from via email.
Okay.
Okay, so it is, I am opposed to IADU. This changes the neighborhood dramatically. This area is single-family residence. The homeowners here bought single-family homes, not an area with rental units. This benefits a few at the expense of the many.
Thanks. And do you have a name associated with the comment?
Yes, it is Susie. And do you need the address as well?
Just for the record would be good for Wendy to note, yes.
Okay. It is 87 Aruba Drive.
Thanks. Okay, thank you for including that and catching that. We appreciate that. We'll now turn it over to members of the commission for any questions or comments. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Chair. As I read through this, the first thing that came to my mind is that the neighborhood as a group has come together and asked for this. That shows that there is full agreement. I think we ought to be very open to these types of things as we're looking at a statewide need for more affordable housing. This is one of the solutions. It's not the only solution, but it's one of the solutions. I can tell you from personal experience, we live up on Mount Saratoga, and we are outside of the the area, it's prohibited for us, but I would say 3/4 of our neighbors have basements that have been built out. And the only stipulation, the only question that I just would like to reiterate is that the code talks about parking, and I think parking is critical. We can't allow our smaller streets to be lined up on both sides because of individuals that are renting basements. And so as long as we have appropriate parking for those that are coming in, I think it adds to the dynamics of a neighborhood. And I've got all around me, I've got rentals. And when the grandkids come over, they play with the kids next door. And I just don't see it taking away the quality of life at this point, other than the parking. And I think we need to stay within the code for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Esposito Burns.
Yeah, I've got some questions about this, this map and how the boundaries were decided. Does anyone know how the boundaries were decided for the IADU?
I don't, does this follow the plat lines? The original plat lines is what I would assume.
Yes, so it is the plat, it's J3, so yeah, so this is following the plat map, so this is the plat boundary for J3, so I'm not sure exactly how it came to be exactly that way, but we're just following the plat boundary.
This is the original plat boundary that was placed? I mean, because this seems like kind of a funny plat boundary with the way the roads are laid out.
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly why, but this is the original recorded plat boundary. So I'm not sure if there was an amendment. I don't believe this is an amended plat, so this originally, so I'm not sure exactly why it came to be this way. I could do more research on that, but.
Did you want to add some insight, Ken?
Yeah, the code requires that they follow plat boundaries. So whether it was the original plat or not, that is not the issue. The issue is what is it currently, and the neighborhood that would be required to get the 66% agreement there would be based on the current plat boundary.
And we checked that this is the current plat boundary then on that?
Yes.
Okay. So this picture, this Exhibit 2 picture, if you look at it, there's actually already a lot of cars just parked on the street there. We already know that parking is a big issue. I mean, I'm going to vote yes for this because there's no reason really not to, but I really am going to also put that I would like to have it reflected in the minutes that we should have some stronger wording around this. This doesn't seem, we're going to just keep running into these parking issues if we don't get ahead of it now. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Esposito Burns. Do we have any other comments from members of the commission? Commissioner Kilgore.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment just because of the comment that we did receive by email. And I think one of the last phrasing that the comment made was, it seems like it's going to benefit the few over the many. But again, the code requires that it's 66% of the current residents signed on to it. So that is actually the majority. And so it's really the many. Unfortunately, there are a few who may not agree, but I think it's actually reversed. So I just wanted to comment on that, to just say that for the commenter, that it actually follows the rules, follows the ordinance, and it is the majority. So I think for that reason, I'm in favor of it. But I do want to ask though about the parking again. So what is the requirement, and do the applicants meet it?
Yeah, so that is going to be when they register. So if this gets approved, this IADU map amendment, they'll still need to individually register their home and there's an application for that. And that is when we do a deep dive. We require a site plan showing where their parking for the IADU will be located. Then we check to see the size and how many. So we do follow the code. For IADUs, there's specifics for parking. That's, I believe, a state requirement. And we look to make sure that there has to be at least 4 spots that I believe are 9 by 11 feet. The garage can count as long as there's at least a 2-car garage, but there has to be at least 2 other spots in the driveway in order for that to comply. So yes, we make sure that every time we review an IID registration that the parking meets the code. And if it does not, then we would not approve it in that sense.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgore. Any additional comments from members of the commission? I'll just add as well, to echo Commissioner Kilgore's comments, we have, I believe, appropriate thresholds to be able to make these changes. I know that Ken and others have worked diligently on these to make sure that we set the appropriate standards and that this just isn't to use a very technical term, a willy-nilly type of change, but that there is thought and process and planning that goes through that, and there are certain criteria that need to be met, and this appears to meet that, noting that we do have the public comment in opposition, but that I believe they got up to 67% approval from those in the neighborhood. So with that, I am in favor of seeing that these standards have been met. Ken, did you have some comments?
Yeah, just wanted to, for your information, let you know that the city council has requested to have a work session on the subject of IADUs. There are some comments that have been made that perhaps we need to make some changes. One of the comments was that perhaps we needed to require a greater percentage than 66%. But these are just some comments that have been floating around. So on the 20th of August, City Council will be holding a work session just to discuss and give staff direction if there are any further code amendments they would like to see.
That's an excellent update, thank you. Seeing that is in play in the background as well as just what our current standards are, seeing it met here on this application. I'm happy to take a vote now.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Commissioner Hill.
I move that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation for approval of the requested IADU map amendment for Lake Mountain Estates J3, located in the southeast corner of the Lake Mountain Estates subdivision, with the findings below and with the findings and conditions in the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilden. We have a second. Do we have any additional discussion on the matter? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you all. Thanks for being here this evening. Okay, we'll move to item number 2 under public hearings. This is amendment to Title 19 Land Development Code of the City of Saratoga Springs, Chapter 19.02, definitions, and 19.05 supplementary regulations, citywide, city initiated.
Thank you. And we do have a public comment on this one as well. This one is from Sandra Steele. And it reads, the term freestanding structure is ambiguous. This could mean a barn, shed, utility building. A previous planning commission discussed this at great length when Dave was planning director. After seeing the examples of stealth design, I believe it was a unanimous vote to not require it. This was because most of the stealth designs drew more attention to the pole and its location than just a black or silver paint. The silver paint almost disappears against the sky, and if a pole is against the hills, black or brown tends to blend in. You can never make them look like a tree unless it is a palm tree. And that would surely draw attention to a monopole in Utah. I hope you have better examples than we had, because the ones we saw were more obtrusive than it left alone. Sometimes less is better. And so the code amendment is, we have received some comments that there should be some more examples and some more definition for camouflage, for specifically for monopoles, cell towers. And so we had a committee where we looked at other codes and kind of felt like this would be a good example for the city. So we use the term stealth design. So we created definitions for non-stealth design and a stealth design. So stealth design means a monopole or freestanding structure that is designed to blend in with and be compatible with nearby structures, natural landscape, which camouflages or conceals the presence of antennas and or attachable equipment from plain sight. Then in 1905-03 for supplementary regulations, we do specify that this will be it's for freestanding structures that are constructed under this section. So specifically in that section is for monopoles and cell towers. And then we used to explain that the examples can include but are not limited to water towers, clock towers, steeples, flagpoles, lights, and man-made trees. But we wanted to make sure in stealth design that it is going to be whatever the camouflage will be, it'll be compatible with that surrounding area. So it could differ in different areas. So that's all that we have.
Okay, thank you, Sam, for the presentation this evening. This is a matter of public hearing as well, and we've noted the received comments. We'll open it now for public hearing for any matters or for any members of the public that are present that would like to make a comment at this time on this agenda item. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment at this time and turn it over to members of the commission for questions or comments. Commissioner Wilden.
Yeah, just if you could help me on clarification. So we're going to have a definition that defines the two,
Yes.
and we're recommending one over the other.
Yeah, so it's more so, yeah, so we're just recommending that in regards to monopoles and cell towers, that they will be constructed with stealth design. And so we just felt like for clarification purposes that defining the two, just so we could understand what is considered stealth design and what is not considered stealth design. So as in the public comments talking about how this term can be to relate to anything, we put in the section that it's only under this section, so meaning that like a cell tower or a monopole will only be the ones that would be considered stealth design in this sense.
Thank you so much. Could you just elaborate a little bit? I know that the email you read or the letter you read had some concerns, and I think most of us have examples of huge 100-foot pine trees made out of plastic. Middle of how do we avoid such a thing? I think you already mentioned that, but do you mind taking a moment on that? How do we make sure that we're not going to have a palm tree that's hit springs?
So for example, we just approved there was one in I'm thinking of the name. I'm not sure, but one of the last ones that was approved, there was it was on a city site, but there was no trees. There was nothing there. It was only there's some power poles. So that was when, for the camouflage purposes, we decided to change the color to closely match one of the poles. So in that sense, it worked for that situation. But then there were some concerns that this wouldn't be a good idea for other areas. So that's kind of why this code is more so to give examples of what you can use, but more specifically to make sure that it's for each. It's kind of a case-by-case basis, determining the area that it's going to be located in. So the goal is to give examples that camouflage is important for the city, but it's also important to make sure that it goes well with the area.
Okay, so a metal pole, if it fits in the area, would be fine versus a pine tree in an area that there's a lot of trees would be fine. And is that a decision that staff then would determine with the developer?
Yes. So in our DRC, Development Review Committee, we go over each of these cell tower applications to make sure that that the camouflage that they have will go with the area. And so we make sure we go into much detail to make sure that it follows or it looks pleasing, it looks good.
Excellent answers. Thank you so much. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilden. Commissioner Kilgore.
So these definitions give like an applicant, some guidance so that they can then create the plans. And then those plans still come to to the planning commission or to the city council as appropriate for that application. Is that right? So, yeah, so we still get another chance to look at it, but it gives the applicant some guidance as to, how to create the design so that when it does come to us, that there's hopefully very little tweaking that's required. That's the intent? I understand.
Yes, absolutely. It's important for them to understand that, because it can be a big thing to do camouflage, so for them to be prepared for that, and then to make the minor tweaks that they have to, depending on council and commission and what they feel is best. But yeah, that's the intent.
Okay, thank you for that. And then, so the comment from Sandra Steele, she was one of the planning commissioners, and for me, she's like the OG planning commissioner. So I do have to make comments if she makes a comment, I do feel like I have to really address it. But she mentions that these monopoles can't look anything other than, as far as a tree goes, it can't look anything other than a palm tree. But actually, I've seen a lot of monopoles in Utah where they actually look like pine trees, and it looks pretty convincing as long as they're in a grouping of pine trees.
Yes.
So of course, having a pine tree all by itself doesn't look right. So I actually agree with the idea that if the surroundings warrant, then it could be just a black pole because it just looks better that way. I think Sandra would remember that we had a discussion about lighting in a parking lot, and sometimes the black lighting, a pole that's just black, actually, depending on time of the day, just blends in even more into the parking lot. Instead of just sending out as a black light pole, it actually blends in better. So I think, colors like black or silver, depending on where it's located, it's perfectly fine in the sense of camouflage. So I think I think this is a good direction that you're giving that kind of, I don't know if it's really flexibility, but, just understanding that, especially in an area that doesn't have a lot of trees, that we do have to have other options. So.
Yes, absolutely. And then to your point, I believe in Provo, Orem, there is one that's camouflaged, I believe is either an evergreen or it's a big tree. But yeah, that was kind of the reason in one of the past areas that we decided not to go tree because there's no other trees in the area. So yeah, so definitely it's definitely a case by case basis, but this is just to kind of help give a guide to help with that stealth design is important for the city and that they can get started on that.
All right, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgore. Commissioner Mann.
Yes, I would just like to say that I really appreciate the time and the thoughtfulness that the city takes to just maintain the beauty of this city. Just the garbage cans, just the fine details throughout this city really just create a cohesive environment and something of beauty. And I appreciate that we live in a city that really makes this a position of importance and places a high level of importance on that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. Any additional comments or questions from member of the commission? Commissioner Kilgore.
Sorry, I forgot this. This is, again, another comment that Commissioner Steele made. So her comment about the freestanding structure not being very definite or defined, how does the planning staff respond to that?
Yeah, so in section 1905-033, when it's defining design, on the third line down, or the second line down, sorry, it says, all new monopole and other freestanding structures constructed under this section. So the section, we just include what we are revising, so we don't include all of the code. So in 1905-03, above number 3, I'm not sure exactly the code, but it's all under monopoles and for cell towers and antennas. So this would be just specifically, so it's not like every structure would require stealth design, but everyone under the section, which is monopoles, cell towers.
Okay, so the city feels, or the staff feels that it's pretty clear to an applicant what is meant by freestanding structure and how this particular ordinance should apply. This piece of code should apply to those structures that you're interested in. Or
Yes,
we're interested in. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgore. Any additional comments or questions? I have just a quick thought as well. Commissioner Kilgore stole all my thunder, but he can do that because he's the OG for the rest of us. And that would be to that public comment. I agree in terms of the statutory reading. If you go through the code, the way that this references back to the section itself, I feel very comfortable to be able to address that comment, that this is only addressing what is found under this section and not all freestanding structures. And so I feel like that adequately addresses the matter of public comment. Otherwise, if there are no other comments, be happy to take a vote from members of the commission.
I'd like to make a motion.
Motion, yep, thank you.
Okay. Based upon the evidence and explanations received today, I move to recommend approval of the proposed amendments to Title 19 with the findings and conditions in the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Sprosty Burns. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any additional discussion on the matter? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation this evening. Okay, we'll move on to item number 1 under business items. This is approval of previous meeting minutes from June 27, 2024. I will make note that there was an amended minute set out to our emails earlier today, which would be the one that we would like to vote on. Now would be the time to make any additional changes, if there are any that you had caught off that revised edition. If not, I'd be happy to take a motion for approval.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes from, June 27th, 2024 with the change listed in the email.
Thank you, Commissioner Sprosty Burns. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. We have a second. Do we have any additional discussion on the matter? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We'll now move to reports, and we have opportunity for commissioner reports. Or any members of the commission like to make a comment? Hearing none, we'll move from commissioner comments to director's report. Sam, do you have anything that you would like to mention to us this evening?
No. Is there anything that you'd like to add, Ken? No, not at this time.
Okay, and Ken, nothing else from you? Good, awesome. Any laws we're breaking? Excellent. All right, thank you, Ron, we appreciate that. Do we have any need to enter into a closed session this evening? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn this evening's meeting at 6:27 p.m. Thank you all for being here.